How you
Hi.
doing? Nice to see you again, buddy. Sorry about the little bits of confusion with scheduling this follow-up, but we're
Oh,
here
it's
now.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
just to refresh anyone who's watching, are you still about 2.7K? Because you said you tilted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually a bit higher.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
what is a bit? How much have you gained? Like 100 or so?
Uh, ar- Around 90.
Okay, cool. Nice
Yeah.
little start for now. Okay, so what we talked about last time was that I interrupted our session about 30, 45 minutes in just because I felt like you weren't being nearly aggressive enough. So I
Yeah.
wanted, I thought it was crippling your game so much compared to other things that you were doing right that I wanted you to just go play some games and, and in the words of what I actually used in the coaching session, grow some balls. So.
Yeah.
That's what I hope you've done. You said you've done it. It sounds like you've had an interesting experience so far, based on what you told me about the pubs that you've played, at least a little
How do
bit
you
about them.
like your steak done?
So
Okay.
I will be able to critique you on how to play the game now, because I kind of feel like you weren't
Okay.
you were playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And so now that hopefully I see what you've done, we can kind of be like, okay, you should have been aggressive here, or like you shouldn't have been aggressive here for like this reason, that reason, and we can make your aggression, not because you told me you had a couple crazy ass games, right? So
Yeah.
we can make it so we can. The goal of aggression in Dota is to have like a very clear cut purpose of why you're being aggressive, and that's like what defines good players. Because like if they are aggressive when they're supposed to be, they're gonna be exposing the opponent for their weaknesses, and if they're chill when they're not supposed to be, or sorry, when they're chill when they're not supposed to be aggressive, then they will be able to kind of like avoid power spikes of the opponent or whatever. So, okay. So do you have your replays for me? The replay IDs.
So do you want to watch the one which I was like feeding first, or
Sure. Let's check that one out and have a good little laugh, maybe learn a little
uh,
bit, and then we'll go to the other one.
okay? Because that one I was just like trying to have a feel of how to play aggressive.
Yeah, sure. So, okay. Which one are you in here again? I forget your in-game name.
I'm Underlord.
Underlord. Okay. So you're Underlord against Drow Shaman or Drow Tusk, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went for the double ring of protection. I don't hate it. I would even argue that you could just buy two branches with this instead of going for the quelling.
30 seconds to battle.
But Jen, well, let's see how the lane plays out. I'm not gonna worry about this. I think leveling your passive this early can be really bad. I think every lane I've played Underlord, once the lane starts, I decide whether or not I want my passive or my Firestorm. I don't think you need like any mangoes in your build or whatever if you want to start Firestorm, because if you feel the need to start Firestorm and you just use it twice in the first creep wave, you just fly yourself some mangoes. Like in the new patch, right? Like you just have your first item, you fly yourself out to be like another set of tangos and some mangoes. So like I just don't like preemptively skilling on a hero like Underlord,
Yeah.
because for instance, if I don't know how to explain it, but every game I've played him, I've definitely had the choice where I'm like, okay, I should level my aura here, or I should level my firestorm, and it's not something that's easy to determine going into the lane for me. I think for me, it's been very like, what's going on? Like, are both heroes sitting under the creep wave? Can I hit them both with a firestorm? And if the answer is yes, then I will level my firestorm. Okay, so it looks like you're potentially against a tri lane here. Okay, your lion did a nice little feed. Okay, aggression's already way better. Is this a safe lane? Okay, so they are trying. Okay. So, I like that you ran at this shaman, but when I see both supports top, I'm immediately assuming they're a tri lane. So, if you want to watch I'm not gonna like have you watch it right now, but I'm gonna send you the replay ID. Right here. I'm gonna send it to you in Discord for later, okay? For this moment. So the moment that I'm sending you for is a game where I'm pretty sure I'm against a tri-lane. And so what I do is I basically try to see where the supports are. Like I will, let me play perspective. I'll like kind of stand like right here, maybe move over to here, scout out some supports that are here, and see what they're doing. And if I end up seeing one of the supports go bottom or something, then that's the instance that I turn on my aggression. But if I'm concerned about two supports being in my lane where I'm against a tri-lane, I want to do my best to avoid exactly what just happened to you, where you just took like 600 damage for basically auto attacking the shaman twice. So
Yeah.
when you're being aggressive like you are, the best way to ask yourself when you should be aggressive is every time you make a move like that, like right there, you auto attack the shaman twice, and you took 600 damage. So it's like, was that worth the aggression? And the answer is no, right? Like that
No.
was a bad
Yeah.
trade. So then what happens is, so this is how I'm telling you how to now self correct. So you go, okay, that wasn't worth it. Why? Like what did I not think about? And it's like, well, to be honest with you, it wasn't like Shaman Drow showed to you and then Tusk ganked you. They actually showed both supports top. So you had the
Yeah.
information to know that there were three heroes here, and when you're two heroes and they're three heroes, it's almost never correct to actually fight them. There are sometimes, but like it's
Yeah.
usually not correct, especially in a tri lane with a hero like Tusk. He's very strong with two other heroes because of his tag team. So,
Okay.
all my goal is for you to recognize the best of your capability. Is like, was this aggression worth it at any
Yeah, I
given
realized I
moment? Go.
because I for the games, the initial games, like this one was like I think about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I was just trying to go like full dabai, and
Oh, for
then
sure.
yeah, and then I just really don't want to care so much about like
No, so I want to be clear that I'm not critiquing you
oh
saying you shouldn't have done this. I'm telling you like
yeah.
I know what I told you to do, so you're doing it, and now let's like every time you're doing it, I want to tell you, hey, it was right or wrong for this reason. So,
Okay.
um, let's see what items you flew yourself. By the way, I'm curious.
My build is like really hilarious, I think.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. But first,
So this is a lane where I would have 100% wanted Firestorm because I'm just against three heroes and I can't really make use of my passive. This is like a perfect example.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that was good. Those two right clicks were very good. Those that was a microaggression, but that was very good. I don't really care about the death. Like you're a little bit out, but you're also against a tri lane that's like really high kill potential.
dire structures are fortified.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a saying we hear in other like sports or whatever. What's the best way to prevent the opponent from being aggressive on you?
Mm, to not get caught out of position.
It's to threaten them, like to make
Oh.
them feel scared of you. Like if the opponent's constantly low or like you're harassing them whenever you can, kind of thing. If they're low, they're gonna have a hard time ever being aggressive on you because they're sitting at half health or lower, and if they try to go on you, they're at half health. So a perfect example that I look at so far is right here. If they so what I do is I've got four creeps for sure right here. What's the advantage for me when I say four creeps? Like last hits for sure. Look at the creep wave right now. What
Yeah.
advantage do I have with the state of this creep wave? Like what's
Mm,
the creep wave going to do? Like is it going to push? Is it going to come to my tower?
it's going
What's
to
it?
push.
Okay, it's going to push. Can a hero like Drow afford to tank creeps?
No.
No. So if she walks up to right here, like say Drow walks up to like right here, say you're actually on the creep wave, like say you're not doing this crazy shit. Okay, so you say you're on the creep wave right now, and she walks up to right here. What can you do? Like, give me an idea of what you could do.
I could. Mm,
Why do you have the advantage? Because you have more
yeah,
creeps,
because if
right?
she hits me, yeah, yes,
And if she hits you, she doesn't draw creep aggro, right?
yep.
So what's the only way you can make her take damage from creeps? If she's not going to aggro them herself.
Mm, to hit her.
No, you make the damn creep wave die. You kill the creep wave.
Oh.
Like, you kill her creep wave. Because the
Oh.
only way the creeps are going to attack her is if there's nothing else to attack. Right? Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, meaning, like, if these creep waves... If these 4 creeps die, then Drow's going to get hit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, is Drow a carry that wants to have 8 enemy creeps underneath her own tower?
No.
So, what I see right here is an opportunity to be aggressive because of my creep wave equilibrium. Even though we're all level 2, nothing fancy in the sense that like you're not like ahead or anything. But this is a chance where your creep wave's going to push in. Not to mention that the shaman also used all of his health and mana to kill you there, but it's whatever. That's like a side note. That is something to mention, but it's a side note. So right here, what I'm going to do is you get level 2, level Firestorm. I'm going to sit right on top of these creeps. If Drow walks up, I'm Firestorming the creeps and her. And if she walks up to fight me, she's going to be fighting me underneath the Firestorm with 6 creeps about to hit her. Do you see how that's like an opportunity to be aggressive? Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you did to Tuskir is absolutely fine. But then what I'm saying is there's a lot of little things in lane. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, there's a lot of little things in lane that result in advantages. A lot of them are based on creeps. A lot of them are based on lane equilibrium. A lot of them are based on the hero's strengths and weaknesses. Like in this case, I'm telling you, Drow really hates to get dove. Like she really hates to have like 8 creeps underneath her tower. She's not as bad against it as she used to be because her 3rd spell kind of clears creeps, but like she still doesn't want 8 creeps underneath her tower. So when I see this against a Drow, I'm like, hell yeah, and I'm like throwing down a Firestorm if she ever comes to contest me. And I'm saying I dare you to come get a last hit because I'll throw down a Firestorm on top of you and these creeps. And there's no, like, really for the most part, especially when you get level 2, but even level 1 Firestorm, there's no carry that wants to sit underneath that and trade with you. Like, that's just never a case. So the biggest issue I have so far with your upcoming aggression is that right here, what do you think you should do right here?
Right here?
Yeah.
I should just firestorm her.
Yeah, you should Firestorm the creeps and her, right? Same threat.
Yeah.
Do you need to auto-attack them at all, right? Because, like,
no.
while the enemy creeps are underneath the opponent's tower, what, like, remember how last time on Sunday we talked about, or Saturday, whatever it was, or, sorry, whatever it was for you, that, remember we talked about you want to have times where the opponent is obligated to do something so they don't want to hit you, right? Like they don't want to spend their time hitting you. Well, underneath their tower is like one of the perfect opportunities because your creeps are dying very fast, right? They're dying to a tower. So every second that you can fuck with them underneath the tower is great because instead of CSing, they're dealing with you, right? So like right here, I want to play up in this guy's face and I want to threaten him. Meaning, like, I want to Firestorm on top of the creeps and walk at him, but I don't want to attack him, right? Because if I attack him, I'm going to draw tower aggro and take, like, a bajillion damage from the tower. But if I just Firestorm on top of these creeps and run at him, like, what does he actually have to do? He has to walk away, and if he has to walk away, look at all these creeps, like, that he's just not hitting, right? So it's like, oh, that's great. So something I'll tell you to keep in mind, I know I'm going to tell you a lot of little things this session, is that watch offlaners and what they do when the opponent's underneath their own tower. They just fuck with them a lot. Like they just do random things to be like, hey, deal with me instead of the CS. Like it makes people miss like random CS and shit. It just makes it happen. So In this case, I definitely think the problem is you're against a tri-lane and you're not expending any mana. Like, you're just not using your skill, like your Firestorm skill, to
Yeah.
be
No,
optimized.
because I feel like this Firestorm level 1 is a bit underwhelming.
Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you, 90% of lanes are decided by level 3. Like, they're already decided who's gonna win by level 3. So you can't just
Oh,
invest in level 3,
okay.
meaning like you can't wait until level 3 to start using spells. Like, it doesn't matter what hero you're playing. You just can't. If the opponent uses all of their mana to trade with you and you don't use any of it until level 3, you're probably going to lose your lane by level 3. Like, you're already lost your lane. Like, the thing
Okay.
about this patch is I'm watching people. So, for instance, Underlord's main restriction is his mana. In terms of trading, like, he runs out of mana pretty quick because his Firestorm costs a third of his mana pool. When you have a hero like Centaur, what's their main restriction when it comes to trading? Is it mana or health?
Health?
Yeah, it's health, right? So what I see is people buy starting items, like you did. Say you buy 2 Ring of Protections. That's completely reasonable, I think, against Drow. So on
Yes.
Underlord, if I'm telling you your main restriction for trading is mana, what are you probably going to fly out with your first 2 items on the soon in the lane on your courier? Like, sometime in the first
Mangoes?
2 or 3 minutes, you're gonna fly yourself some mangoes. Like, on Centaur, on the other hand, what do you think they're flying out in the first 2 or 3 minutes on the courier?
Salves or
Salves.
tangles?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I watched a Centaur the other day, and I'm pretty sure this hero is supposed to use like 3 salves in the first 5 minutes. Like, that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And I watched him, and that's exactly what happened. I was like, oh, I was right. Okay, cool. Like, I understood that correctly. My point is, right, if every hero has a method of trading, like whether it's mana, health, positioning, like whatever it is. And so positioning means, like, if you're a hero that, as long as you're on top of them, you're winning the trade, maybe you'll be rushing boots. Or as long as you avoid them, you'll win the trade, so you rush boots or whatever. Or you're a hero that's limited by damage. So say you're like a Drow. You're just gonna, what does Drow go for her first items? Like,
Wraith bands?
Wraith bands, right? Because she's limited by damage. So she's just gonna buy damage. The point is, every hero has limits on what helps them trade. So in your case, just spam that fucking Q on opportunities that was good. I pointed out 2 times that you missed a good Q opportunity, or your Firestorm opportunity. And then if none of those happen, like, I'm not telling you to force it, but like, I'm saying if there's opportunities to use your Firestorm, use it, right? It's 150 damage if they sit in it. On top of like one, it's like ends up being 180 if they sit in it, and it's like they're not going to sit in it. And then what happens is, if they do sit in it, great. If they don't, you're effectively zoning them from a nice like 400 radius AoE that like you're now controlling for the 6 seconds that it's down, and that's like effectively what you're doing. It'll get you an extra 1 or 2 CS, and imagine if like by the level 3 you have an extra 4 CS and maybe 1 or 2 extra denies. That's like a big deal to hit at level 3. So just 2 little things there, and now you're firestorming when you have no creeps. Like, so now you're taking an effective trade, right? So like, what happens in Dota is if you miss a time where you're supposed to use an ability or do something and you do it later, it's almost always looks like that. Like, where you just look like a Pega. Okay, so this lane's a little rough, but that's fine. You are being aggressive, so you did absolutely do what I told you to. So now you're against 2 heroes instead of 3, which is nice. Drag creeps, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, because I say I need to calm down a bit. If not, I'll get reported. So.
Fair enough. That's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Your hero does a lot, by the way. You will not have to set up range creeps for CS. If you know this line, you should tell him not to go with you underneath the tower. Okay. In this case, since you're so low leveled, I don't even think that bounty run's worth it. I think every little creep is worth it in lane, like for XP. So I probably wouldn't have even walked over to check the bounty there. Okay, so let's see. Tusk is gonna TP away again, but you don't know that this time. Okay, you see Tusk bottom.
Killing spree.
Okay. So I think this plate. Okay, so I like where your head's at with this chainmail, but it's just wrong. So let's talk about it. Like, meaning I know you're thinking, hey, it's Drow. She does a lot of physical damage. I'm gonna buy a chainmail. My question is, do you think you have any aggression potential on this guy in like the next 5 minutes? Like, are you what's your next 5 minutes gonna look like in your best description you can give me? Like, what are you going to be doing?
No, I'm going to be like just laning.
But like, when it comes to
Uh,
laning, what's your laning gonna look like? Are you gonna be trading hits with Drow a lot?
no,
What are you doing?
CSing.
With what?
Like right clicks.
And basically, at this point, you have no
Uh,
aggression potential, and you're trying to recover, right? That's what you're trying to do, because you're down by like almost a full level to Drow.
no, actually now I'm trying to like get the tower because you told me
Okay.
to get the tower as fast as I can. So
Okay. Okay. Fine. Absolutely. You know what? I'm actually okay with that answer. So,
yeah.
to be for the record, I did say if you were winning your lane, to worry about getting the tower.
Oh,
You
okay.
still need to try to pressure the tower as much as you can, but by no means am I expecting you to now get this tower. So
Okay.
are you going to get this tower by running at the Drow and right clicking her?
No,
No. How are you going to get this tower if you're going to get it?
I need to protect the siege creep.
Okay. How are you pushing the lane creeps if you get this tower? Like, how are you killing lane creeps?
Uh, Using my firestorm.
Okay. So what am I getting at here? What is wrong with your build?
I need some mana regen
Yes.
or
So at this point,
yeah.
quite frankly, boots don't matter. Okay, like you can't walk at this drow because by the time you have boots, she's gonna have boots. You're the same move speed. She's got 3 wraith bands on you. Like, there's no reason to rush boots now. If you like killed this drow once, by all means, go first item phase boots and like run at her, like because she has no boots yet, and you can just like run at her, right? But
Yeah.
you can't abuse a power spike where you have boots and she doesn't. So there's like no reason to go for boots at this point. Like, meaning you're going to buy boots, but why are you buying them now? Like, there's no benefit to you buying boots right now. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is you are recovering, and if you want to pressure this tower, you're using Firestorm. So the way I think about it is if I want to pressure or push a wave in general, which is almost always what you want to do, I have to ask myself, how does the enemy hero push the wave? How do I push the wave? What prevents the other person from pushing the wave? So in your case, what prevents you from pushing the wave with auto attacks is her just hitting you. And you're like, oh, I just lost 300 health to a drow hitting me 6 times. That's annoying. So it's like, I can't just sit here hitting creeps. So if I can't just sit here hitting creeps, what other options do I have? And your answer is on Underlord specifically to firestorm the creep wave. So if you're so I've what I would do to myself here is I now assess, oh, I need to use firestorm off cooldown to push these creeps, and then I'm also going to be using firestorm to get jungle creeps. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push the lane into the drow. I'm going to let her go. Like, so there has to be every point in the lane where if you're not winning or if you're not stronger, like, which is what you're going to real like you're going to look for that case eventually. You're going to say to yourself, I can't fuck with this guy anymore. So, if I can't mess with this guy anymore, what is my route of being the most efficient? Because your offlaner, like every role has 2 options. One, to worry about interfering with the opponent's game, or two, like optimizing your own game, right? Like, meaning, instead of
Yes.
worrying about slowing them down, you're worried about accelerating yourself. So in the off lane, usually you're preferring to mess with the opponent. Like that is your first priority. But there are plenty of games where you just can't. Like, say I pick offlane Abaddon into Slark. I'm not messing with that guy. Like, that's a terrible fucking matchup. My goal is to get as much out of that lane as possible without just getting obliterated. Like, that's my goal. And in that case, I think to myself, what can I do? So in that type of lane, it starts at like level 1 or 2, the bad matchup. But like right now, you're just slightly behind. And this is going to happen plenty of times where the guy's level 4, you're level 3, and you're like, okay, at this point, Like, do I think I can continue to be aggressive on this guy? I know I told you to be, but even if I told you to be right now, I would think you would need boots first because you already have 6 armor from these 3 rings of protection. I don't even think you need the 3rd ring of protection. I think that was a bit extreme, right?
Yeah.
But like, you definitely are
Yeah.
overkilling it on the armor here.
I just want to like have fun this game.
Yeah, no. So I mean, the point is, you're having
Yeah.
fun or whatever, right? And I'm not flaming you per se, but you're still
Yeah.
doing the fun part, quote unquote, wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
that's so like at this point. Notice how you tried to like be aggressive and you just fed, right? Like that's
Yeah.
because you're down by a lot of net worth and a level. So at this point, your lane should literally look like a firestorm. Yeah, like, so notice how at this point, see how I described to you what the lane should look like and what you're doing, and now you're just feeding, right? So whenever I tell you to be aggressive, there has to be a clear-cut reason eventually, meaning like, yes, I know I told you what to do in this game, so I get that you are committed, and I like that. I do like that I told you to do this, and you did it, so that's a nice thing to see. But eventually, what your goal will be is, you know, in this case, I gave you a very specific reason why you're not supposed to be aggressive, right?
Yeah. So do you want to look at the other replay?
Yeah.
Cause,
So we're gonna end this one right here for sure.
Yeah.
That I'm just letting you know that like eventually that's the goal. Is you'll be like, oh, I'm supposed to be aggressive for this reason, and then you'll
Yeah.
be aggressive accordingly. So, like I said, just to remind you, watch that other game for like the first minute or two to see what I do against a tri lane instead, and then the minute the 3rd support rotates out, if they ever do, watch what I do there too. Like where the second I know it's no longer a tri lane, you know, a kind of on-off switch changes, and that's important. So okay, next replay.
Okay. This.
Okay, cool. So let's see.
So this one I was trying to be aggressive, but I realized I couldn't.
What hero are you here?
This one I was actually playing seriously for this
Are you
match, but
are you the slaughter?
but yeah,
Okay.
but actually I lost the laning stage. So
I will tell you, Slardar versus Drow is against a good Drow player is unlaneable. So I played that matchup the other day, and that was unlaneable.
Your turn. Prepare for battle.
But let's check it out.
It's in the bag. 30 seconds.
Okay, so you're against tree, you bought a quelling blade, cutting down all the trees. Yeah, this is a rough lane for you. I've kind of steered away from Slardar myself. You feel free to keep picking it if you really want to play it, but I've really struggled with this hero, and I've watched other players really struggle with this hero. I think he's really hard to make work, and that's my overall opinion on the hero. Okay, so I already did a pretty good job there you're actually posturing at this Drow pretty well, which I like already.
okay.
And the only reason Drow like crushes Slardar is because she's supposed to just hit you over and over again. And in your bracket, I don't think that's going to happen. So, like the opponent's not just going to hit you over and over again.
At one point she did, and I was really annoyed. Like
Yeah, like right now she's missed at least like 4 hits on you already. Okay, so
Yes.
now they're pulling. Let's see what you do. Oops, why is it not fast forwarding? There we go. Okay, so the camp's not there. Lane's pushing towards you.
Double damage. My thanks.
You've already gotten way better at just posturing at the person, like just walking at them. Like even like
Yeah.
this is so right there.
because I never do this in my games, so I think that was good practice. Like that 10 or so games of like just crazy playing.
Yeah, like right there. Even though you had no bash charges, the guy freaked the fuck out. Like you honestly should not have ran at him there because you had no bash charges. Like if you had 3 bash
Yeah.
charges, that's a really good time, obviously, on Slardar to run at them. But like, guess what? That was a really bad time to run at him. What did the other guy do when you ran at him?
You just backed off.
He fucked it. He was like, right? a good player right there would
Yeah.
know you had no bash charges and just hit you and be like, "Heh,
Yes.
like lol, like what are you doing? Why are you running at me?" But the point is, like in your bracket, people don't figure that out. Like they don't.
Yeah.
Like, so you'll win games by overall being more aggressive than you should be. So eventually, what happens is if you try to be aggressive during times like that last one, where you don't have bash charges, the guy's just gonna hit you. But the minute you do it with bash charges, you'll be like, "Oh, he's going to try to hit me. If he tries to hit me, he's just going to get bashed." And a good player is going to notice you have bash charges, and they're not going to hit you because they're going to be like, "I don't want to get hit by a 140 damage with a bash. That I don't want to get hit by that." So it's just funny that what I've learned is when I'm aggressive at the right time, the opponent fucks off, and when I'm aggressive at a stupid time, they just like make me take 200 damage for it or whatever. So okay, yeah. So you definitely think you're stronger than you are, or at least you're acting like you are. So I think right there you've now learned the Drow's going to punish you in your bracket, or at least the tree.
Yeah.
The Drow, they haven't really proven to you that they were going to do that yet. So now you've been like, okay, wake up call. They're willing to hit me.
Yeah.
All right, there was what that was, I think. So that's fine. Testing the waters in your games, I think, is perfectly healthy, to be honest. Rip CS. Okay, so.
Gratitude.
Okay. Okay, that was really good overall. Already way better in that department. That was a good one. You missed a creep for it, and in the future, maybe you could even be perfect and stun the creep while you stun the tree. Something to keep in mind. Like, if you can make it so your aggression also gets you creeps, that's really good. Okay, forcing abilities. Courier Pepega, everyone does it. Even pro players, so I'm not gonna flame it.
Many thanks.
This will do just fine.
I wasn't expecting that either. Okay, end up killing the Drow. Okay. Is this a support Magnus? Yes, it is. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Safe lane sniper, mid PA, support mag. Nice. Okay. Let's see. None of those make sense, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Overall, even though like you are dying a bit, this lane looks way more aggressive, and you had to move to your lane, and it worked. That's crazy. Like I in all the games I watched the other day, nobody ever moved to your lane, and nothing ever worked. So this is good to watch. Okay. Okay. That's a forced rotation, and I almost guarantee you, by a factor you won't be able to see, by being more aggressive the way you have been, the Drow or the enemy carry on average is going to randomly call for assistance. Like,
Okay.
when they shouldn't need it, or they don't actually want it, but they're just like so tired of you running at them that it's going to naturally have like random supports and shit show up to your lane. Like that's actually what's going to happen. Just on average. Like I've noticed that the more aggressive I am, the more on average the random supports or mid laners or whatever rotate to my lane. So I think what you're seeing here, like in this game compared to the last ones, I saw your games were like your lane was its own little world. You were nobody from the other lanes ever came to your lane. And already in this game, I've seen your Magnus rotate. I've seen the Silencer come bottom. This is already indicative that you're being more aggressive. Like, this is a factor of it, right? So I'm just telling you, like, sometimes it's hard to see exactly the results of what you're doing. But I guarantee on average this will happen way more because of what you're doing here. I think you could have amped and bashed the Drow there, but it's fine. Okay, so once you get phase, you're gonna have a nice little power spike here. Okay, so tree rotated out. I think you saw that. That's why you ran at him. Now silencer's here, so you're gonna salve up. Because silencer's here, there's not much you can do still. Oh, you're still running at him though.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Soldier's fortune. A dominating performance.
So, would you say what you're doing in the game right now is impactful? Why or why not?
I mean, because I just have this feeling that Zhao is like out farming me, because I think at one point I checked her items and she have like two, yeah, it's,
She's up by 3 CS on you, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
oh, yeah, so I felt that like hopefully my team carries me.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Were the last, like, 2 or 3 creep waves, were you farming? Like, were you hitting creeps?
Not really.
You were, though. You weren't getting them all, but were you hitting creeps? Like, you weren't completely zoned or anything, right?
Yeah,
Okay. How many heroes did they have?
like
In the
2 or
lane.
3,
2 or 3? How many have you had in the lane?
like just myself.
Yeah. So, what you're doing in the game right now impactful? In your opinion?
I think it is.
Yeah, with that
Like
in mind,
space.
isn't it? Because you're only down by
Yeah.
3 CS to this drow, and on average, there's been way more enemy heroes in your lane than there have been your heroes. So, I hate to say it, like there are going to be games where this description of a game happens, right? Where you are against 2 heroes and you're the only one there, and the rest of your team is just feeding. Like, it happens, okay? Like, there's going to be it happens in my bracket. It really never should happen, but people are misplaying, whatever. In your bracket, since it happens in mine, it's going to happen even more so in your bracket. But the point is, on average, of course, across all the games you play, if you draw 2 heroes to your lane and you're by yourself and you're still getting a lot out of the lane comparatively, like you're getting enough out of the lane that your hero's going to be doing something this game, then you're going to win games. Like, meaning you're going to be impactful. Like, this is impactful. I had a game of Abaddon the other day where my other lanes were winning. I was winning pretty well on Abaddon too in my lane, and I forced 2 supports to my lane, and suddenly I was kind of forced to play passively, but I knew I wasn't supposed to leave the lane, because suddenly I've just got 3 heroes in my lane, and I'm like, why are, okay, there's just 3 heroes in my lane, but I'm still farming or whatever. And the enemy team, the other 2 cores and the other 2 lanes, because there's 3 heroes in my lane, just fed. And my whole chat was like, BSJ, you just got carried. Your whole team was like, you had 4 kill participation out of the 15 or whatever. And I was just like, dude, they brought 3 heroes to my lane. Like, what do you think they're going to do when I have 4 heroes on the rest of the map and they have 2? Like, what do you think's going to happen? They're just going to die. So it's like, I'm not, like, saying this to defend myself. I'm saying that, like, people are so easy to, like, think because nothing's happening in your lane that you're not doing anything. Right? Like, that's... And I'm saying this to you to, like, make you feel better about this situation, because to be content with what's going on is really important. When it's correct. Like, I don't want you in this case to feel that panic that you felt, that you said you, like, I felt like my team had to carry me, etc., etc. You're beating this drow in levels. And so what was stopping you from being aggressive? Like, why were you not being aggressive the last 3 creep waves?
Because they are just like too many heroes like randomly show up.
Okay,
Like,
so now, what do I see on the map, buddy?
there's
You see this, right?
yeah.
So what should I
So
do?
I was getting ready to like
Oh.
smack that draw.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you're not going to, but like the minute that... So what I do is I assess to myself why I'm supposed to be chilling, right? So in your case, you were against 2 heroes, so you were chilling, right? That's why you were chilling? You weren't running at the drow because there was a tree or a silencer there the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But now that they're not there, like, time... So usually for me, when I'm not playing aggressive, I give myself a specific reason to not play aggressive. Okay? So, like, I'll
Okay.
be like... I try to identify what that is. Sometimes you're not going to be able to, but I try. Sometimes it's very simple, sometimes it's not. But so, like, in this case, it is quite simple. Like, there's a support there, so I don't want to run at this drow, because if I run at the drow, they could just turn it on me and kill me, or, like, make me take a lot of damage. But now that there's no support here, boom.
Oh no, the silencer is a mid actually.
Oh, whatever. Silencer the mid, even
Yeah.
better, honestly. That's even more stupid. They brought 2 cores to your lane and you're still farming. Whatever. That's, like, even worse. That's even better for you.
Okay.
So, I mean, Obviously, forcing a mid laner to your lane is even more impactful than forcing a support. But yeah, so the minute that they're not there anymore, like, or whatever factor it is that's preventing you from being aggressive is not the case anymore. You know,
Yes,
now it's time to be.
I should be aggressive.
Yes. So
Yes.
what happens is if you're passive, like say you're chilling, but you have a very specific reason to be chilling, then guess what? You're just gonna be doing, meaning like you're just gonna be laning, like you're just gonna be chilling, and all you have to do while you're chilling is play the lane, meaning like draw creep aggro, get CS, all the mechanic stuff. But then the second that one thing you're thinking about happens, then everything changes, right? Like, but unless that specific thing in your mind changes, you're just chilling. And in Dota, to be like confident about what you're doing and be sure that it's correct is like really hard, and it's really important because like some of the biggest mistakes that people do, including myself, is like forcing something when we're not supposed to, getting like in our own head, panicking a little bit, that kind of stuff. Like it just forces you to make stupid plays. So like right now, if you're just doing what you're doing right here, and you knew you weren't supposed to be aggressive, and the minute the people leave, and you're like, oh, time to be aggressive. Like that's perfect. Like that's great execution. So you said you're going to. I assume you're going to run at this guy. Let's see what happens here. So you have 3 bash charges. Dude, just run at this fucker, dude. Dude, grow some balls. What is going on here? What happens? What happens if you run at this guy? Run at this fucker. What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
Run at him. There you go. Fuck yeah.
I just wanted to self up. Just
That took about 20 seconds longer than it should have, but you did the job. So, like okay, so here's the deal, man. That's way better than I would have expected you to do any other day, right? That I just got done coaching you on Sunday. But now the goal is, as you're going to get better at the game and get better at this whole aggression thing, you're going to do that 10 seconds sooner. You're going to do that the second that silencer left the lane. You're going to see 4 heroes top, and the second that happens, you're going to be like, wow, this draw's out of position, and just like fucking kill him. Okay, so now, nice. Might be a little overextension, but looks like your whole team's coming. Okay. I like this.
Double kill.
Not a coincidence that shit's happening around your lane. Okay. So in this case, I always think it's a travesty for this to be happening top, right here. So if this is happening, I just look at my team, no TP, no TP. Silencer's not a hero that farms his own safe lane, by the way, so I don't ever factor in sniper there. No TP. So what do you have to do here?
I have to ask someone to go like my safe laner to go and farm the
No TP, no TP, no TP. Sniper, not a hero that farms the safe lane past 10 minutes. So what do you have to do here?
I should go and farm myself.
Yeah, you should just go TP. Like, you brought a lot of
Yeah.
heroes to bottom, right? Like, at this point, what happens is, based on the natural progression of Dota, is you're going to TP top. The opponent is going to realize, slowly but surely, that the pressure on bottom is gone. And they're going to disperse. Okay? So they're going to realize it doesn't benefit them to bring 3 heroes bottom. Okay? Because you're just not there anymore. Right? So, like, why are they still here if the person that's forcing them here in the first place isn't there anymore? And in your bracket, that movement will be slower than it would be in my bracket.
Actually, I was like doing something really stupid at this point.
What's that?
Because I realized that it's time to like just leave. But then my teammates were telling me that they wanted me to stop the Treant.
From getting the
outpost.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm like clicking the Treant, and I said like 2.1 seconds it's not enough for me to get there. So
I'm just gonna say that, like, sure, your team's welcome to say whatever. First off, that outpost at 14 minutes really just doesn't mean jack shit. Like,
yeah,
if
because
they're
it
good.
is only 20 minutes, right?
Right, yeah, you have 6 minutes to take it
Yeah.
back, and like the fact is, what you've effectively done here with your aggression is you've forced like a massive fight to go on in this bottom lane. Like it's not a coincidence that the way you've been playing has resulted in a fight being in this lane. Like it's just not a coincidence. So like, what I'm saying is the goal in Dota with aggression eventually is to force the opponent to react to you, especially in a way that's overreacting. You know, bringing 4 heroes to something they only need 3, or trying to save a guy when you can just dive him, and when they TP, you run away. And it's like, that's great. Like, if you can force TPs and then just walk away, that's like really good, right? That's a very good use of aggression. So the goal is to force them to react to you in a way that's inefficient. You know, they're missing farm, they're bringing 3 heroes to the same lane. Like, if they bring 3 heroes to their safe lane, are they getting any objectives off of 3 heroes in their own safe lane? Like, are they doing anything with that?
No.
No. So not only are you making them play inefficiently, but you're also deterring them from getting any objectives because you're forcing them away by making them defend themselves, right? Like so, that like a good defense is a good offense, right? So you're forcing them to not take your objectives. So in this case, the reason why the dead lane, quote unquote, is top is because most of the time, based on what you guys are doing in the bottom lane, notice how dangerous it is for them to play bottom, right? Like it's the same thing in your side. Like it happens in most games where the teams naturally rotate to the opponent's safe lane and shit goes down in the opponent's safe lane. So, like if you guys want to do something, it's in the opponent's safe lane most of the time, and when the opponent wants to do something, it's mostly in your safe lane. But obviously, there's exceptions, but it's just most of the time. So right now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, you know, the dead lane's top. Most of the time, nobody wants to go there. But the reason why you don't want to go there is because they can be aggressive. But you've now forced 3 heroes or 4 or 5 to the bottom lane where they can't go top anymore. Like not all of them can be top. Like this tree, no TP. Silencer, no TP. Tiny, no TP, and they're all bottom. So how do you punish 3 heroes that are bottom with no TPs? I'm asking you, how do you punish it?
Just leave the place.
Yeah, just leave and be more efficient, right? They're sitting 3 heroes with no TPs, right? So like at that point,
Correct.
what you're doing with aggression, so the aggression part that you're doing is great. But now reaping the benefits of your aggression is like one of the next many steps for you here. So now that you've forced so many people to your lane, now be like, okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to TP top. By the time your 80-second cooldown's up, so usually when you TP, right? So say my TP is now used, like you TP top. They usually TP'd before you did, right? Because you TP'd away in a reaction to them TPing, right? So usually their TPs will be 20-second lower cooldown than yours. So that gives you like 50 seconds to be chilling in the top lane. Like that's what it gives you. And then by the time that 50 seconds is up, the opponent could potentially go kill you here again, right? Like that's what I'm telling you. So you have like you've earned yourself 50 seconds of farm in a very dangerous part of the map. So that's 2 creep waves. You kill this creep wave, you kill this creep wave, and what I would do is I would start, because I'm a Slardar especially, I would just run like almost all the way bottom. Like that's what I would do. If it was just me top and I saw 4 heroes on their team continuing to sit bottom, meaning like I told you in 50 seconds that it could be a threat to you to be top, but they're clearly content to just sit 4 heroes bottom because that's something you're going to see in your bracket, by all means, just continue staying top. Like, you know, don't you know, don't only the only reason I'm telling you 50 seconds from now that you're at threat is because they could threaten you. Like they have the TPs at that point. Their TPs will be off cooldown. But if they're not doing that, then don't leave, right? Like just stay. The goal is to basically yank their chain, pull them around the map. You're guiding their movements by virtue of you being aggressive or not. And if your teammates are bitching at you for this kind of stuff, the minute a guy starts bitching at you at your bracket, I hate to say it, just mute the guy because he's 2.8k, you're 2.8k. I'm telling you from a 7.7K's perspective how you're supposed to fix this. Once you start playing with friends that are like 4 or 5K, you can start like listening, giving some merit to what they're saying. Okay, like, but in general, people in your bracket have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Okay, so like, let's just, if you feel like you're doing something correct and one of your teammates is in a bitching way, you know, like actually annoying way, trying to tell you to do something else, just mute them. Like,
No, actually, because they wanted to fight bottom.
yeah. And so if they want to,
So
if they're saying it
I
constructively,
just,
go ahead.
yeah, but I just don't want. I don't know. I find like it's already quite pointless to continue fighting here.
So what I'm telling you
But
is, if you've established a thought like that, like you don't think you need to fight here anymore, or you think you need to do something else, just say to the guys like, you know, 3 heroes bottom, I'm gonna farm top, and I can come back, you know, in a minute or whatever. And if they then proceed to continue disagreeing with you, that's when you just have to mute them. Like if you like, I want you to be confident because so far from what I've seen, you've done a much higher than 2.8K job of being aggressive. Like I kind of figured this would be the case. Like you're just better than your MMR. I'm pretty sure of that, but the lack of aggression was so crippling that it was making you look really papega. So basically, what I'm saying though is that your knowledge of the game, I'm almost certain, will be better than your allies. Like I'm not saying that to every viewer in chat. If you're 2K viewers, you're probably 2K. In your specific case, though, I think because you have friends that are higher MMR than you, and just for whatever other factors that are existing, your understanding of when to be like how to play the map and stuff is better than 2.8K players. So you know, maybe once you start getting 4 or 5K, you can start really taking suggestions from your teammates seriously. But right now, let's not, like, you know, feel free to politely reason with them and discuss. But then from there, don't, if they continue to argue with you, you know, leave it at that. But I will tell you, you are right. If you force 4 heroes to the opponent's safe lane and they TP there, that you should just go elsewhere. Okay, so... Okay. So right now you're respawning. Disruptor ulti's used. They're walking away.
yeah,
So what do you think you should actually do right here? Like right when you're respawning.
I should TP top.
Yeah. So the whole problem is that why are you TPing top, by the way? Like, what's there to get top?
Like farm, like no one is there, and then they probably will, because like for what I learned is my safe
I'm
lane
helping you
will be
out real
their
quick.
first.
I'm helping you out real quick.
My first lane, my safe lane will be their first objective. So
Okay.
their first objective. So I'm going there because it's small. Like,
So what's the actual reason at
not say,
1457 that you're TPing top?
oh, okay. To get the bounty.
To get the bounties,
I guess.
like
Yeah. Okay.
there's so in
Yeah.
general.
I honestly never think of that actually, because
So-
because at this point, right, my
Yeah.
teammates were asking me to fight bottom, and then I just
Okay. So what I've noticed in your bracket is it's really hard to play heroes like Slardar, okay? And the reason why it's really hard to play heroes like Slardar is if you're not fighting, contributing to your team, because that's what your spells do, right? Like you run at people, you amp them, like they take more damage from your teammates, but your hero overall doesn't really do that much damage.
yeah.
Like your hero functions in team fights. I like heroes like Underlord, Centaur, Doom, even a Tidehunter, a Baden, Omni, Legion. Like these heroes can be useful without playing around their team, because they just farm very efficiently, or they push creep waves. You know, Temper Saws, Bristlebacks, like all these heroes just shove creep waves. Slardar doesn't do that. You can still play Slardar if you want, but in games like this where your teammate's demanding you participate, your hero's just not very impactful by TPing top, pushing the creep wave, right? Like, how long does it take Slardar to take this tower if it's just him, right? Like, it takes Slardar a very long time to take a tower.
Okay.
So it's like, for me, I really like to play heroes that, if left alone, I kill the tower. Heroes like Doom, they can eat a creep for attack speed by auras, or like they can take the wildkin for auras. Like, they have a lot of ways of pressuring the tower. They also kill any single hero that shows up in their lane. So you're forcing 2 heroes there, and you're leaving. Or you're just chilling until they leave with 2 heroes. Same thing as you were doing with Slardar, but on Doom, the minute the guy's alone, you just fucking kill him every single time, because that's what Doom does. But it's like with Underlord, the minute they leave the lane, you're killing their tower. Like, you hit for an extra 60 damage, you naturally clear creep waves really fast. So the minute somebody leaves your lane, their tower's going to die. The point is, though, on the heroes like Slardar, just because your hero fits that description does not mean you should just mindlessly fight with your teammates. Like, it is something where if there's like this shit show going on bottom, I don't want to get you reported, man. Like, I'm not trying to get you, like, lower behavior score or whatever, okay. But you have to follow your gut and know that, the things you were talking about earlier and all the reasons why you could TP top are accurate. I just want to be clear, but like in this specific case, there's just nothing more complicated than it's 15 minutes. Somebody should go get the damn bounties, and why are we still fighting this opponent team head on? Like, why are we still doing this with a mag PA sniper? Like, why are we doing that, right? So it's like, at this point, I'd be happy to never fight the opponent, to be honest. Like, if the opponent's not taking objectives, I'm perfectly fine never fighting this lineup with this lineup. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a great way to assess whether or not a fight was correct. Like, if you guys are greedier than they are, and they're not forcing objectives, by no means should we ever fight them. Like, we just don't have to fight them. We're greedier than they are. So if we're greedier than they are and nothing's happening on the map, we're benefiting. Like, that's just naturally one of the things I've talked about a lot in Dota. Like, if my team, at all given moments, there's one team that benefits from nothing happening. And in this game, I would 100% say it's your team, based on the enemy lineup, with like Tree, Silencer, Invoker. These are all very teamfight heavy heroes, and you have Mag PA Sniper. So now we just awkwardly have a 5-on-5 shit show bottom. Even if it ends up working out,
No, it didn't work out because I don't know, maybe I'm fighting like half-heartedly. I just don't want to die here.
Yep.
Like,
it's awkward. I know you feel it. Like, any player, and even in 2K, can feel like, wow, this feels really awkward. What's going on here? And then your sniper is gonna feed. There's just 2 bounty runes chilling top. You've resumed your offlane duties of laning in the offlane.
Yeah, because I mean,
minutes.
it's like we missed the window. They are threatening our tower already.
Yep, it's super awkward now. So why are they allowed to group up and potentially threaten this tower?
Because they killed, like, sniper.
Okay, so what did I tell you? Okay, so when I told you were being aggressive bottom, what was it preventing elsewhere? Like, when you were being aggressive and forcing reactions, what was it preventing the opponent from doing in other lanes?
It's preventing them from being aggressive.
Yeah, it's preventing them from being aggressive, which also entails taking objectives, right?
Yes.
So why are they allowed to push this tower if they want to? Because you're not doing anything anywhere else. You're not forcing them to do anything. They're just you're just fighting them. You're just willingly running into them. Like, so they're just gonna keep sitting here. Like, that's how Dota works. Like, if the opponent is happy to fight you and you're fighting them, what are they gonna do?
They will keep fighting.
They're just gonna keep fighting you. Like, that's what they're gonna do. Like, it's pretty straightforward, right? Like, if they're happy to be doing that scenario. So, like, the reason why it was so important at like the 14-minute mark or whatever that you went top was that you forced them to fight you when they like their lineup wants a fight. Like that's what they want to do. They're not going to farm their way back into this game against Mag PA Sniper. Like they're just not going to do that. So they're going to fight their way back into this game. So you force them to react to you thinking, hey, we can get this fight. And then you just fucking leave. Like, that's what you do, right? That's the glory of it. You just leave. And then what happens is they're like, oh, well, we're just sitting 3 heroes bottom. Now what? And like what ends up happening is they'll bring 3-4 heroes bottom to push this tower, and they'll look at their other lanes. Mid tower is going to be taking damage. You have TP top, so top tower is taking damage. And they're going to be like, oh, I guess we can trade this tower for these two? What? Like, back off, guys. Like, that's what they're going to do. That's their 2 choices, right? They're either going to sit there and trade you, or they're going to be like, oh, I guess we shouldn't do that. But if you're going to leave, you know, I'm not telling you to leave and go jungle, right? Like, I'm telling you to leave, go to a different lane, and push it, right? Like, that's what I'm telling you to do. So, I'm just making sure you know that when you force them to react to you, it's important to then force them to go. If you're going to leave, like, say you force them bottom and I tell you to leave, you need to leave with the intent to force them somewhere else. Like, you've already forced them bottom, now keep the momentum going. TP top and force them there. And then, like, they're spending more time reacting to you than they are farming. And you've been spending that whole time just hitting creeps. Like, that's what you're... And then guess what? At that point, you've then efficiencyed them by, like, 30 CS. That's what you've done. And then you've had, like, an extra 800 net worth lead, and then... You know, that shit just is what Dota is. Like, that is all Dota is. It's just efficiency. So, awkward game now. Suddenly, for whatever reason, the team that's up by 2k has 5 heroes in the bottom lane. Or 5 heroes bottom half of the map, I mean. We're going to watch a bit more, and then we'll be calling it, sir. So, let's see.
Okay.
So, you got your blink? Okay, let's see what you do with the blink.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Regeneration.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Okay.
Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is under Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has been...
So, I don't even have much to say about this blink. Like, yeah, you got gone on, and it's unfortunate, but, like, the game's just super awkward now. So, okay, so you pushed out bottom. You're taking the outpost before 20. This is good. You see heroes mid, you're running at them, or you're TPing. Okay.
Illusion.
Now this game is just super weird. I think... Okay, PA killed somebody. I love 2K Dota. This happens in my games too. That's like where I'm like, what are you guys fucking doing? Okay, so you guys are ahead, so you end up winning the fight. Okay. I mean, you're playing with the team at this point. I think with Blink you should, even if it's technically inefficient, you should probably just play with your team. So this is fine. You're gonna run bottom. Okay.
Double damage.
I'd be looking mid. I'd have a TP on me. I'm not telling you need to show up mid, but I would have been looking for sure. Make sure you buy that TP. Buy your items. Hurry. I don't think you bought a TP.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire are scanning.
Yeah, you didn't buy a TP. So in your bracket, by the way, that exact moment where you're sitting here farming is why I would prefer to be playing Underlord. Because when my teammates are being super inefficient, for instance, like they are, where they're just sitting for mid continuously, I want to clear
you
fucking...
can force them.
I want to clear creep waves and force the opponent there, right? Like, so that's... Like, I'm not telling you to never pick Slardar. Let me be very clear. It's just what I've noticed trying to gain MMR for my personal limitations is I've had a really hard time in NA pubs where nobody wants to fucking... Or you're in a different region, but, you know, for same thing, it's all pubs across the board at lower brackets. Is like I've had so much trouble with the people just not understanding to push lanes, right? Like just go fucking push a creep wave. So it's like I've had trouble with that. So if my hero doesn't do it, I find these issues where if none of the lanes are getting pushed, I'm just a Slardar. Like that's what it feels like for me. So maybe you'll notice that yourself. I just want to point out that that's like the perfect example of a moment where it's like I wish I was a hero with a lane shoving ability, and I would, push the creep wave really fast. Those are the types of heroes that I think it's much easier to just do everything that you're wanting to be doing. Slardar has like the kill potential aspect, which makes him nice, and you've been utilizing that pretty well. But overall, when these fights are like super awkward, it's like hard for your hero to like just pressure anywhere. Okay, so that's just you overextending.
Yeah.
So let me rewind here.
Yeah, I thought my team was behind me, but
Okay, so
yeah,
here's how Dota
when-
works. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna help you real quick. So I know what you're saying. I get this. What do you call it? I know what you mean by you think your team's behind you. Is what I'm telling you. So the way Dota works is when your team is pushing objectives, or in general, the movements of both teams are heavily dictated by creep waves. Okay, like by creep waves. Whereas the opponent, like what I mean by this is, maybe this will help you think about Dota. Based on this creep wave top right here, how many enemy heroes are here?
No, they're all here.
Okay, let's act like you couldn't see anybody here, okay? Let's act like
Okay.
you can't see anybody. Based on
Okay.
this equilibrium, like where the creeps are right here, how many enemy heroes are right here?
I don't see your mouse.
Oh, you can't see my mouse. That's why earlier when I was mousing over 15, you couldn't see it. Okay, look at top lane, okay?
Okay.
So look at the equilibrium of top. How many people are in your jungle near that sentry?
No.
Do you understand,
0?
based on your creep wave equilibrium, that an enemy hero is just never going to be there? Like,
Yeah.
if they were there, wouldn't they just hit that creep wave?
Yeah.
Right? So bottom lane, where are your teammates at?
With the creeps.
With the creeps. So when are they going to get to you? Like, when are they going to be meeting up with you?
Oh, when the creep
When the
is
creeps get there.
near the tower, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Right? So, like, you just need to know, like, your timing for having assistance here is what? When these creeps get to the tower. Like,
Okay.
that's exactly when you're getting it. So that's like a really important thing, is if you can understand a lot about where people are on the map based on the lane equilibrium. I can almost guarantee, I haven't really been paying too much attention, that an enemy Radiant hero was recently mid because the lane's shoved in. Like, I can tell you that one of their heroes was mid in the last 10 seconds. Like, I'll rewind.
Oh.
I'm not saying some genius way. Like, one of their heroes, okay, maybe in your bracket nobody pushed it, but one of their heroes just shoved mid. Yeah, they just shoved it right here. Purple and blue just shoved mid. And I'm not saying that to, like, in a way of like, oh, I'm so smart, I just watched the replay back trying to prove it. It's like, you can just tell by the fact that mid lane shoved but nobody's there, that somebody was just there, like 10, 15 seconds ago. I'm just telling you how much information you can gather by looking at creep waves. Like, it's actually pretty funny, right? So, like, in your case, you're like, I thought my team was with me, and I'm like, dude, your creep waves over, like, back.
Yeah, because when I stormed him, I immediately regret my
You're like, oh, shit. But yeah, no, I'm just telling you that it will help your map awareness a lot in terms of where your enemies are as well as your teammates based on creep waves. It's like, a lot of times I ask myself what creep wave should be getting farmed, and if nobody's farming it on the opponent team, that makes it really obvious that they're doing something. Like, what else are they doing? Yeah. It's like when you were Slardar and the lanes were right, your bottom lane was like at your tier 2 and you went and farmed it. If nobody was farming that creep wave, what does the opponent have to assume you're doing? Like, if remember when you went and farmed that like quad wave at your tier 2? Like, if nobody on your team is farming that, what's the opponent have to assume?
That no one is at the
that
top
nobody's
lane.
In that lane. So what does that mean?
At the bottom lane, yeah.
That if nobody's bottom, what does that mean you guys are doing?
We are like either jungling or pushing some.
Yeah,
other
you're
lane.
like sitting as 5 somewhere. Because like if you weren't sitting as 5 somewhere, one of you guys would be farming that creep wave. Like,
yeah.
Right. So the point is like. I know my questions aren't always the easiest to answer in terms of how I word them, but The point is, like, if you look at creep waves and you're like, the guy should be farming this, it tells you a lot about, like, what the opponent's actually doing, right? So it's nice to help you with that. And with your teammates not helping you there, it's completely based on the creep wave. So something that I've actually never mentioned in my coaching sessions before is that point, but it specifically came up very relevantly here. So, okay. So you guys are gonna smoke. Let's see what you guys do with it. A little bit ahead of your team again, but that's okay. Definitely trying to be more aware now that you just need to be with your team, but it looks like you guys make a good move. Or some buybacks. Okay. I would say this game, you guys win, right? Like, you guys don't throw this game?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'd say that game's sufficiently, you've done your job in enabling your team to win this game. So I'm going to say a lot of the first steps or the moving steps forward for you is I think you're already doing aggression better than what somebody in 2.8K would do. So you're going to like, it's not a surprise to me that you've already gained a little bit of MMR. And I think you just need to be confident moving forward in what I've told you, because you seem to have a pretty good head on your shoulders about, like, the mentality you're supposed to have in Dota. But I think right now your next step for you naturally is to really give yourself a reason why you're being aggressive. When you watch other players, when they are aggressive, just rewind 10 seconds and be like, what did they see? Like, why are they aggressive? Did they see a support rotate out? Do they have 8 creeps and the opponent has 4? Did they get a leveled power spike? Like, watch other players with the intent to be like, why were they aggressive at that very moment on specific heroes? Because that's the only way to learn how to abuse specific heroes is, like, if I watch a Centaur play a specific way, I'll be like, oh, like, if he's, like, pump faking his stun on top of a creep and the opponent decides to contest him for that creep, he stuns them and hits them with retaliate for, like, 200 damage, right? So it's like, but if they never contest me, then I'm just sitting on top of the creep wave controlling it. That's like an example of a specific hero utilizing a specific way to be aggressive. But for you, giving yourself exact reasons to be aggressive, watching people with the intent to learn that, and then the Slardar game, what we really saw was you were being very aggressive most of the time correctly. There were even a couple times that you realized, like, oh shit, never mind, like, can't be aggressive there, and that's good. That's going to happen a lot if you're practicing properly. Like, that's going to happen, where you just think, oh, I'm going to be aggressive, and then shit, take 400 damage. That's life. That's very important towards getting better. But the next step for, like, I was very clear in that Slardar game, is you force those reactions. Punish them, punish the opponent for sitting 4 heroes in your lane, go push elsewhere. Go, like, if you see a mid laner, go run at him through the river and gank him, you know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by punish them is do something elsewhere, force them to be 4 heroes bottom, punish them elsewhere. It can be a kill, it can be a tower, it can be lane pushing, it can be, any form of aggression in the other 2 lanes. It can be whatever you think is best for that specific game. But yeah, that's the major thing, is don't get too glued to your lane. I know you said your teammates were influencing you. I think being, like, even for myself, being able to know what's best despite what my teammates are saying, because, like, you've been playing bottom lane for 14 minutes in a row. How much involvement have they had in the bottom lane? Your teammates. Right? Like, you've been playing this lane for 14 minutes in a row. Who knows better what's happening in the bottom lane? You do.
Oh, right? Yeah, because I initially I thought I was, like, failing my lane.
Oh, like, and then when I told you you weren't? I see. Okay. No, so that's also important. That's something I didn't really mention, but that also is important. So, like, if I tell you there's a specific reason, like, if you've recognized a specific reason to not be aggressive, this is really hard to do, by the way, and I still work on this myself. Like, it's always a process, right? But if you give yourself a reason not to be aggressive, you just have to be content chilling. Like, it's really hard. Like, it is not easy to do that. So when I tell you this, it's like, oh, just do it. It's not like that. So my point is, if you have a specific reason to chill, just know you gave yourself that guideline, and the minute that guideline is uplifted, it is your job to do something. Like I said, if the reason you're chilling is because there's a support, that's acceptable. But the minute that support leaves, you better fucking do something about it. You know, like you better make use of the fact that that parameter that's blocking you from being aggressive is no longer limiting you. You know, go do something about it. So that's like the major thing is being content with nothing happening, telling yourself when you want to make something happen, whether that's a blink dagger, whether or not that's a support rotating out, whatever that specific, you know, what is the light at the end of the tunnel? What is the reason why I'm going to start doing something? And the minute that happens, hit it hard, right? Like hit that timing the second, because when that drow was alone, you ended up killing her, right? That was great. But the difference between 3k bracket and 7k bracket is I would have killed her the second that tree TP'd out. Like, I'm telling you, like, or the silencer, I mean. The second I saw silencer top, I run at that drow and kill her. It's like 15 seconds faster than you. Like, that's what it is. It's the same decision that I came to 15 seconds faster. And so for you, though, the cool thing is in your bracket, that drow is going to take 20 extra seconds to realize she's out of position. So guess what? You have 15 seconds to make that decision. Like that is something you're going to have. So eventually what the goal is to make that decision faster and faster and faster, and then you'll just be faster than the opponents. You'll feel like they're operating in slow motion. Like that's what it feels like when you play against people that are worse than you. You're like, everything they do is so predictable, it's so slow, like what are they doing? So that's what it looks like when you're better than the opponent in Dota. So all these things in mind, I think you've I hope you feel like you have a very clear-cut path of improvement. Do you have any like last-minute questions before we wrap it up, man?
No, actually. Yeah.
You're good to go, you think?
Yeah.
Right on, dude. Okay. Feel free to ask any brief questions in Discord later if you come up with something that you couldn't think of right now. But okay, man, thanks for doing the session, even though apparently you did put 11 p.m. instead of 11 a.m.
Oh, it's
So,
okay. It's
yeah.
okay.
I appreciate it, dude. Have a good one, and wish you best of luck improving. So,
Okay.
I'll see you later,
Thank
man.
you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
He's a nice guy. Okay, guys, it's just a short stream today.